Welcome to Easy Math TV. We're going to continue the problem that we started at the end of our section here on linear applications. The problem involved supply and demand, and we were not given the equations. So we basically are in part 2 now, where our goal is to actually write the two equations for supply and demand. If you did not see part 1, go back and view part 1 of this 3-part series, and then come back to this one. So let's read the problem again. The question says, at a price of $40, there is a demand for 573 items and a supply of 320 items. When the price is $80, demand is 453 and supply is 640. Assume both supply and demand are linear. So ultimately, our goal is to find the equilibrium price and quantity. But in part 2, which is what we're in right now, this is part 2. Our goal is to find the supply and the demand equations. So this spreadsheet should look familiar to you. This is the spreadsheet we used to figure out the demand function when we had a couple prices and quantities for the demand. So we're going to just use that same spreadsheet. So you should have these columns set up. The delta x, x, y, delta y, and then the calculation for m, the slope, and the calculation for b, which is the y-intercept. If you have that spreadsheet with those headings, then you're fine, regardless of what we used it for before. So the first thing is to find the demand equation. So we're going to let our y values are going to be the quantity and demand. So we need to find those from inside the word problem. And our x's are the price. So given that, y is the quantity and demand, and x is the price, okay? And you have the problem right here. It's in text right here for you. I'm going to ask that you pause the video and go in your spreadsheet and see if your table ends up looking like mine. So I want you to actually try doing this on your own. Fill in your table for the x's and fill in your table for the y's, and then everything else should get calculated for you. So go ahead and set that up and come back. So now that you're back, let's remove this and see what we have. So in our X column, we went from 40 to 80 to 120 to 160 to 200, all the way down to 280, because we just had that many values to fill in if we wanted to. And then in the Y column, following the pattern of Y's, we started with 573 when the price was 40, and then we went down to 453 when the price went up to 80. And we discovered here in this table, we discovered that the change in Y, the change in demand, is negative 120. And so when you fill that down, you can get the rest of the way. So let me move this aside, and we can also see that our m, our slope, is -3, and our b, which is the y-intercept, is 693. So I'm going to go ahead and type them in here where it says demand equals mx plus b. That's equal to -3x plus 693. And I'm going to make sure I'm actually in the equation editor because it looks nicer when you do that. And now we're going to need to change some values in the table, because now instead of finding the demand equation, we want the supply equation. So guess what? That changes our y values. So if I go and I highlight and select this entire column C, and I go up here where you see a little eraser symbol, we're going to clear the contents of the y column and fill in our new values. So when x is 40, what is the amount supplied? in supply. So the supply is 320. So I'm going to type that in. And then when the price is $80, the supply is 640. So I'm going to type that in. And then I'm going to select those two and fill down. And you don't have to do that, but I'm just doing it anyway. So now I'm going to uncover, and there's my slope and my y-intercept. So basically that's pretty easy. Supply is just going to equal 8x. It's really that easy. So we've got our two equations now. So at this point, all we need to do is the final part 3. So we've got our equations, and we're going to go and use our equilibrium spreadsheet and find the actual equilibrium. Like, subscribe, comment down below. Please share these videos with anyone that you think would find them helpful, and I'll see you in part 3.